I'm Anthony. I've been playing poker for a living since 2019. Hit that intro.
Don't soul roll me if you get quad fours, man.
You folded King, King, Jack, Jack? You owe me $350. Your money should be in there too.
Did you bluff me?
Would I ever bluff?
I'm leaving out there. I'm on
No,
tilt.
it's on tilt. Thank you, sir. I would not lie to you, sir. I told you I had a full house. Doing the Lord's work. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. It's a $15 double board bomb pot 7-handed, and I'm in middle position holding ace-queen, 7-4 suited in hearts to my queen. The flops fall 10-8-5 with 2 hearts, and queen 4-2 with 2 diamonds. It checks to me, and while I have something on both boards, neither is overly strong. I have the third nut flush draw up top plus a gut shot, and on the bottom I have top 2 pair. We can easily get ourselves into a spot where we're second best on both boards, so I opt to check. A player bets the full pot of 105. There's 3 callers, and I go into the tank. I really don't want to play this hand against 27 opponents because I'll just be the monkey in the middle. However, if I can get this pot heads up with some dead money, I should at least have a decent shot at winning half and possibly scooping my opponent if the runout is favorable. I repot to 735 with $90 behind. The original bettor goes all in, and everyone else folds. I get the rest of my stack in, and we're playing for a pot of over $2,000. The boards run out 9-10 up top, but no hearts that would give me the flush, and 4 jack on the bottom to give me a full house. My opponent turns over 8-8, 7-3, double suited in diamonds and spades, having flopped middle set on the top board and a weak flush draw on the bottom board. Neither of us was particularly strong on either board, but we both had some scoop opportunities. On the top board, I had roughly 34% equity, on the bottom 57%, so overall our opponent had an equity edge, but with the dead money in the pot, it wasn't a bad spot against his hand. Thank you. We had to get the crumb bums out of there.
It's not crumbs, sir.
Thank you. Under the gun is straddled to 10. There's 1 caller, and I call an early position holding king, queen, queen 2 with 3 clubs. I'm not a huge fan of this because we do have a dangler, we block ourselves from hitting the flush, and we're in early position. So if there's significant action behind us, we're going to have a fold here and we'll be throwing away $10. The button raises to 55 and just the limper and myself call.
Fuck these a-holes!
The flop is 7-2-2 with 2 hearts. We both check to the initial raiser who bets $110. If he has pocket aces, this looks like a safe flop for him. But little does he know I've got a little dangler action going on over here. I check his stack and he doesn't have a ton left, so I just repot which covers him. He calls and only wants to run once. Pot.
Put them all in?
Once or twice, sir.
Just one.
Okay.
One time.
I got a deuce. 9 of hearts. Quads. 9 of hearts and 2 of diamonds. Best dealer. Best of dealer! That does seem to be the norm today. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. It's a $15 double board bomb pot 9-handed, and we pick up the very attractive looking king, king, jack, jack suited in hearts in middle position. The flops come down king, queen 10 with 2 diamonds and 8, 6, 5 with 2 hearts. When it checks to me, I've got top set and an open-ended straight draw on the top board and the second nut flush draw on the bottom board, plus an overpair. However, both boards are pretty coordinated and someone could already have the made straights. I check. The hijack bets the full pot of 135. Early position shoves all in for 265. And I decide to go with it, shoving all in. The opponent behind me goes all in, and we have a side pot for 440. The top board runs out 9-4 with 2 clubs. The bottom board comes 7 queen. The opponent in the side pot turns over ace queen jack 6, having flopped the nuts with a flush redraw up top, and then on the bottom he rivers 2 pair to beat my overpair, scooping me. The third player had the nut flush draw, so even if I hit the heart, it was no good except for the side pot. We're 9-handed doing a double board bomb pot, and in the cutoff I look down at queen 10, 10-5 suited in hearts to my 10. The flops are jack 6-4 with 2 spades, and 10-5-3 rainbow. There's a pot size bet of 135, and when it comes to me, since we're only strong on one board, I opt to call. I want to pull in other players who can build the pot so the half we hope to get is a decent size. The big line thanks for a bit and calls. And we're going 3 ways to the turns which fall the king of diamonds and the 7 of clubs. Now the big blind comes out firing, betting the full pot of 540. The other player calls, and I'm all in for 425. On the top board, I picked up an open-ended straight draw. On the bottom, a straight is possible, but some of the cards needed to make that straight are out on the top board, so I'm hoping my set of 10s is still good there, and we do have outs to a board pair if it isn't.
Poker Jesus about to nut all over this bitch.
The rivers fall the ace of clubs and the ace of spades, giving us the nuts up top and still having the set of 10s on the bottom. The big blind checks, the second player shoves all in, and the big blind folds. My opponent shows down King Jack 6-4, having all 4 pair up top, which loses to my straight, but having the nut straight on the bottom to beat my set, resulting in a chop pot. I'm on the button holding Ace King 10-5, double suited in hearts and diamonds. Under the gun is raised to 15, early position calls, middle position calls. I call, the big blind comes along as well, and we are going 5 ways to a flop of King 9-3 Rainbow. The big blind leads out for 20. There's 2 callers, and since I can close the action on the button, and I have some backdoor possibilities to go along with our top pair, top kicker, I make the call as well. The turn is a beautiful looking queen of diamonds, giving me a gut shot draw to Broadway, plus the second nut flush draw. When everyone checks to me, it's time to take advantage of their weakness. I bet the full pot of 160. I block the nut straight. If someone had hit the nut straight, they would have bet it, so I can easily represent it here, and I have outs if I'm called. The big blind does call, and we go heads up to the river. The river is the 6 of spades, which doesn't change the board texture. When he checks, I continue telling the story that I have Jack 10 here, shoving all in for my last 185. He winds up laying it down, and we chip up nicely. In the big blind, I look down at Ace-Ace, 7-4 suited in hearts to my ace. Under the gun limps, there's a raise to 15, 2 callers, and I make the call. I'm too deep to raise out of position and give away my hand strength, and my side cards are just okay, having some connectivity for backup straights, but overall these are mediocre aces and not premium. We wind up going 5 ways to a flop, and the flop falls 10-5-5 Rainbow. I check. It's checked around to the button who bets 25, and I just call. I figure I'm ahead here, but I want to keep my opponent's bluffs in, plus there are multiple players behind me, and if one of them check raises, I'll know I'm likely beat. The original raiser calls, and we're going 3 ways to a turn. The turn is the 3 of clubs. I check, and it's checked around. The river is the king of diamonds. Unfortunately, the original raiser could have easily raised preflop with kings in his hand, check called the flop, and then gotten there on the river, so I still need to proceed with caution, and I check. It's checked to the button who bets the full pot of 155. I think I mess up here. If my opponent had a 5 or a full house here, I'd expect he'd try to make a bet he wants us to call, and by making a pot size bet in hindsight, it looks like he doesn't want to call. However, I also have to factor in I have a player behind me left to act, so I can still find myself pinched in this spot. I go into the tank.
That's 155. Turn, that's what. Sorry, guys, I need a minute. Think long, think wrong. Is that? Pocket tens? You want to show for the vlog? Oh no! You blessed me off the best hand. No! Oh, son of a bitch! Good bet. Good bet. No, I didn't have a 5. That's fine.
There's one limper, and another player makes it 20. On the button, I look down at Ace King Jack 2 suited in spades to my Jack. Not an exceedingly strong hand, especially facing a raise. However, we do have decent connectivity between the cards and can make some nutful houses for with our hand. Plus, we have position on the entire field. So I toss in the 20, and we'll take a flop 5 ways, which falls King 10-3 Rainbow. There's a $50 bet. I'm the only caller, and we go heads up to a turn, which is the ace of spades. My opponent checks, and now I've picked up top 2 pair, plus the third nut flush draw to go with my Broadway draw. I have to check behind for deception. We may get some money out of our opponent on the river since we showed weakness on the turn. The river is the 2 of hearts, not really changing the board texture. He bets 50, and I don't see much value in raising. He can't pay me off with many worse hands, so I'd just be taking myself to Value Town the times I'm beat. I call and see the bad news.
It's canceled? Yeah, or they rescheduled it. Oh yeah?
How much is it?
$50. Rescheduled to what day?
Oh, set of tens.
Set of 10.
That turn was huge for me too. Nice hand.
Rescheduled to what day?
It's got
No idea. I didn't even know they canceled it. They rescheduled.
Under the gun is straddled to 10. I'm in the hijack with 10, 9, 8, 7, and 3 hearts to my 9. It folds to me, I make the call, and now the cutoff raises to 45. The small blind calls, the big blind folds, the straddle gets out of the way. I make the call, and we are going 3 ways to a flop of Queen 7-6 with 2 hearts. The small blind checks, and I opt to take the betting lead here, betting the full pot of 150 with my pair plus wrap plus flush draw. You could bet a smaller amount here like half pot, but where the raiser has position on me, I don't really want to make it easy for him to call with a positional advantage. You could also opt to check raise this flop, but there's no guarantee our opponent will bet this board texture, especially when we hit it so hard. They both lay it down, and I scoop in the chips. We're 7-handed in a $15 double board bomb pot. I look down at the junky 9-5-5-3 double suited in diamonds and hearts in middle position. The king of diamonds is exposed prior to the flop being dealt, and the first board comes down ace queen 2 with 2 diamonds. The second board is 5-4-3 with 2 clubs. On the top board I flopped a weak flush draw plus a gut shot, although the 4 I need is on the bottom board. And on the bottom board I flop top set, but multiple straights are possible. It's check to the cutoff, who bets a weak $20 into a pot of over 100. The button calls, the small blind calls, the big blind calls, middle position calls, I call, and the hijack folds. So we're going 6 ways to the turns, which follow the 6 of clubs and the 4 of spades. Up top, I still have the straight and flush draws, but on the bottom, I now have the nut full house. When it checks to me, I bet the full pot. I want to get value from someone who hit 3 4s, while also denying equity to those on the top board who may have draws that could beat my own, or made but weakish hands that had me beat currently. We also want to protect our full house by getting outdrawn on the river, as almost every card that will fall will be an overcard to that board. The guy who bet 20 from the cutoff on the previous street calls the full 225. The small blind comes along as well. He must hate money. So we go 3 ways to a river with 900 in the middle. The rivers come the 3 of diamonds, completing our weakish flush, and the jack of spades, bringing in a useless backdoor spade flush someone may have hit on the board we're already full on. The small blind shoves all in for 485. I rip my stack, having him covered. The cutoff folds, and we turn our hands over.
I got a full house and a flush.
I got the nut flush and 4's full of jack.
I got 5s full of 4s.
And he's got top board is diamonds.
Pleasure doing business with you, sir. You get the second nut flush. Oh, yeah, right. King of diamonds, yeah. Nice answer.
Did you get David's finger in the video?
Thank
I don't know if you caught that or not.
you, sir.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you both.
I'm on the button holding Queen Jack, Jack 3 with no suits. Early position raises to 15. There's one caller, and with our position, I opt to make the call, as do both blinds, and we're going 5 ways to a flop.
All right, let's see who gets luckiest.
Come on, baby. 9 for me.
9 ball. Got him.
The flop is pretty fucking amazing, falling King 10-9 Rainbow, giving me the stone cold nuts and blocking my opponents from having it.
What were you guys betting on?
The big blind bets 35. There's one caller, and my hand isn't likely to improve, so I pot it now to 215. The original better folds. The drunkish fellow makes the call. The turn is the 7 of spades. It does bring in a backdoor flush draw to worry about, although we do have a blocker to the spades. When our opponent checks, we continue applying maximum pressure. If he wants that board to pair or a spade to come, we're going to make his ass pay to get there.
They haven't been moving the player. You have blockers only? Wow.
You know I had it. Come on, man. I wouldn't bluff you, man. You got too many chips.
I had it straight too. Low one. I knew I wasn't going to catch
Thank you, sir.
queen.
I had a set.
In this hand, the 6 of spades has been exposed. In the cutoff, I'm dealt ace-queen, queen 8 suited in diamonds to my queen. It folds to me, and I excitedly announce pot, raising to a whopping $15. The button and small blind call, but the big blind folds.
Oh, we got the winner out, guys. All right. We got the winner out. It's just me and the other winners.
The flop comes ace-10-5 with 2 spades. When the small blind checks to me, I continue the ingression. I block the straight and flush draws present. I bet the full pot of $50.
Pot.
50.
Uh-oh. It's getting sticky.
The turn is the jack of clubs. I now pick up a double gutter, needing a king or 9 to make a straight, and I block the nuts. I bet pot again of $150.
That's 3 pair.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I appreciate it. All right, yo, that is my time. We got a real dealer coming in.
So this episode was actually clips from 2 sessions I played at the lodge, and combined between them, I won a total of $1,068. I'd also like to thank everyone who's purchased a piece of my 3-event package to the World Series of Poker this summer on Stake Kings. There is still action left, so if you'd like to buy any, I will leave a link down below. It is no markup. If we have any viewers in the Austin area, I'm trying to put together a weekly mixed fixed limit game in the Georgetown area, so please leave a comment down below if you're interested and I'll get in touch. In addition, I've also recently updated my Twitter account so that it's a Poker Jesus account now, so if you would like to follow me on Twitter or get in touch there, I'll leave that down below as well. So appreciate you guys all tuning in, and we will see you next week in the next episode.
You know, after watching a video like this, sometimes I'll like it, sometimes I'll leave a comment, and sometimes I'll subscribe. Sometimes I'll even do all 3.